Hey, I wanted to take a quick minute here to address some of the concerns that have been raised recently, particularly on social media. However, I have talked to a number of the residents in the 20's neighborhood, what we call Ducktown, 26th, 27th, 29th, Herman Avenue, Ross Ave, to talk about the construction project that's ongoing that started about a year ago. It hasn't quite been a year yet. But I wanted to address those issues or some issues about why that project hasn't finished. So I will tell you the project is ongoing. It is currently happening. And although the contractor, Fabrizi, is not on site, we are and can express our frustration with that as well to you as well as we do to them. We know that you're living in that neighborhood right now, and it's frustrating because it feels like it's been a long time, and it's getting to the point it has been. It doesn't seem like anything's happening, and there's reasons for that, and I'm going to touch base on those in this conversation. Please know, we are actually pushing Fabrizi as hard as we can. They are under contract. They have not violated their contract. So our hands are tied by that. All we can do is urge, press, cajole, try to get them here and working as quickly as they can. Unfortunately, we can't force them to do it because they still are under contract and they haven't violated that contract. That's a little consolation for the folks that live in that neighborhood. We respect that, understand that, accept that. However, there is only a limited amount of things that we can do to get them to come to work. And frankly, we can't force them to do that. They haven't violated the contract. I'll say it over and over again. And until they do, we don't have recourse in that regard. So there's three key delays, three key reasons why the project is on delay. Number one, and I think most of the folks over that neighborhood know this, they've been told this. I've talked to a half a dozen residents over there about this exact issue. We've mentioned this at council meetings. The real issue lies with the gas company. When we first planned this project and started this project, we encouraged Enbridge, which was then, I think, Dominion, Ohio, East Gas, Ohio, something like that. They changed their name midway through this. We encouraged them to replace the gas lines in that neighborhood. They told us, no, they're not, it's not necessary. They don't need to do that. Everything's fine. Well, we got into the middle of this project, and guess what? Everything wasn't fine. The gas lines needed to be replaced. That caused at least a month-long delay. That happened in the fall, toward early winter, and it is the reason that this project was not done by year end last year. It's the number one reason. Second reason, even after that occurred, there was a massive issue downtown Cleveland that drew a huge number of workers away from various projects from different contractors to address an issue downtown. May have caused a few days delay, but it was a factor. And then finally, if it had been a winter that we've been used to experiencing the last few years, 5-6 years or so, it is likely this project would also be done. They could have continued to work because the weather was acceptable. That didn't happen this year. We actually had a winter where the temperatures dropped and we had enough precipitation that they just simply couldn't put the time in. And the conditions weren't right for pouring concrete. Those were conversations we had with the contractor, with Fabrizi, before they went on break in late December, because they usually have a 2 to 3 week holiday shutdown. Before they went on that break, we talked about potential getting them back on site early January if the temperatures were a certain number. They weren't, so we couldn't do that. It hasn't, as I mentioned, really quite been a year yet since construction started. They showed up in late May, sometime in May last year. With that being said, the real construction didn't start until after that, June and July. I say that because generally most construction projects are scheduled to last roughly a year and a half. to give room for the kind of issues that we've dealt with. Now, in Newburgh Heights, we've been pretty accustomed to having those periods of time be very short, 6 months or so, 8 months, 9 months. This is the first in my decade plus time as mayor that we've had a project kind of flip over a winter to this degree. So it is frustrating, and it's new ground for all of us. To give you some understanding, there's a project going on, a couple projects. They're closing the ramps, the 480 to 77 ramps. Those are going to be closed about 6 months. I suspect probably longer than that when it's all said and done. But there's going to be a huge amount of resources put into those projects. So sometimes there are things that happen that are unforeseen, that are out of anybody's control, that are frustrating, because we expect a certain level of attention to our needs that aren't necessarily viewed in the same way by others. I want to assure the residents of Ducktown in the 20s that your neighborhood is not forgotten. That neighborhood is just as important to us as every other neighborhood in the village. We don't view neighborhoods as this neighborhood's more important than that neighborhood, or we live here so we're going to do work there. We don't operate like that. We would not be spending roughly $3 million in the last 2 years on a neighborhood if it's a neighborhood we forgot and we didn't care about. We're putting major dollars into the Ducktown neighborhood, so that, by the way, most of that infrastructure and the things that are being built and put in there are items that, sewers, streets, curbs, sidewalks, things like that, gas lines, water lines. Those are things that will never have to be replaced again in my lifetime. And it'll be a lot of the residents, it'll be their children and their grandchildren that live there that will have to be before they see any work done again of that magnitude in that neighborhood. So we haven't forgotten yet. In fact, it's the opposite. We're putting in big money. Now, maybe in the past it felt that way because there was no real investment, but we in the leadership here in this year and the past decade have a plan to get to every street in this community, and we're darn close. There's only a couple left. I can tell you that in a conversation I had with the village engineer yesterday, there is a meeting occurring with Fabrizi this coming Thursday, at which point we believe they're going to finally give us a clarified picture with a hard date. We don't know this for sure, but we think that date is going to be May 12th, roughly, somewhere in there. Once they're back, it'll be a 2-month project. Once they're back, sometime in early May, what we're going to see is about a month of hard work and the hard construction, and then a month of cleanup and finish work. So where they'll be putting the trees in, they'll be putting tree lawns back together, they'll be planting seeds, they'll be doing cleanup, taking their equipment out of there, that kind of work. So about 2 months from the date they come back, we expect this project to be completely finished. In a thread I saw on social media related to this particular issue, there was some question about the road being torn up on Beta or Gamma, different neighborhood, but I wanted to address it because last year the water company came in and did replace and remove several lines that were lead-based lines. They were lead water lines. Those were removed on a number of side streets in the village, and they left some rough spots in the road. And the residents were told that road's going to get repaved. That is happening. It's happening this year. This fall, what'll happen is Beta and Gamma are getting paved. So you're going to see paving on those roads where those water lines were replaced. So that will be happening. You'll see a completely new road this year. And then there was some a post that made that some residents felt like they weren't getting answers, or the answers were evasive. Please let me know. I want to make sure that I haven't spoken to anybody in a way that I think isn't clear about what's going on. So I'm not sure where that's coming from, but what I'm saying is call me. If you need a straight answer, if you need an answer to a question, call me. 216-390-2486. That's my village cell phone. Give me a call. Or you can message me on Facebook. You can email me. But if you feel like you're getting an evasive answer, or you're not getting a straight answer, or an answer that makes sense, give me a call. Now there's a difference between getting an answer that you don't like, or getting an answer that maybe is a longer explanation that you're accustomed to getting, and then being evasive. But I don't want anybody giving our residents evasive answers. I'm happy to give you the straight skinny of what we know and what we're able to do. In fact, I'm going to get off this call right now, or this video right now, and I've got a resident that has called me from East 29th Street. I'm going to be calling them back and trying to answer their questions. Unfortunately, none of this is what any of you want to hear that live in Ducktown, but it is the answer, and it is going to be frustrating for a little bit while longer. And frankly, our hands are tied. There's just not much we can do about it. There's a contract. Fabrizi is meeting that contract. The work that they do is quality work. Fabrizi's always done a good job for us. Fabrizi was awarded the contract to do the work on East 26th Street because when it was bid, they were the lowest bidder, and that's what the state law says. You pick the lowest, most responsive bidder. They were that bidder. So the law requires us, without paying a huge fine, to award that bid to them. So I hope these answer your questions. Again, my number is 216-390-2486. You can find me on social media under the Village of Newburgh Heights website. You can message. I have a couple different Facebook pages. You can message me on those as well. You can email us, but reach out. Don't kind of shoot in the dark. There's no conspiracy to hurt the neighborhood or anything like that. In fact, we are frustrated. It's the exact opposite. I know we don't have to live there, so we know the inconvenience. But trust me, my street has been repaved as well as a lot of others, and we do experience and have experienced it sucks. We get it. We're with you and we're here for you, and we're fighting as hard as we can. And that's where we are today as it relates to the project in the 20s. Thank you.